Yo guys, and welcome to the Hungaroring track guide. Today we will be having a look at a lap at Hungaroring, and I'm sure that it was a quite solid lap, once again at very cold temperatures, so the lap time may not be very representative compared to the other lap times around, which are mostly done at 23. I think we had 15 degrees here. So, starting in with the beautiful McLaren 720S Evo. We are starting already with turn 1, which for we will brake at that pole, around that pole. You're gonna see it from while driving. It's quite visible. That is marked very well. We are gonna smash the brake, then steer in and hit the throttle as early as possible. What we can also do is brake a little later, like 5 meters later. Then we will be thrown into here a little wider and can take that line, but that's also fine. With the McLaren, it's always needed to do little short shifts to second gear, because first gear is quite slippery with the rear axle, so we shift to second and then progressively go on the throttle. For turn 3, basically, we brake at the beginning of that curb, boom, and then we slowly brake and steer into it. It's off camber and downhill, so you need to be careful about that, because the rear might be braking out quite quickly, especially with the low brake balance used for that track. In that car it is 47, because it's just the quickest. With other cars like the Ford, it is likely to be 48.5. Yeah, we brake at the beginning of the curb from 5th gear or 4th gear. I think both is possible if you want to do the upshift. With the BMW, for example, you are gonna need it. You can go to 5th and then just do one downshift more. With the BMW, you should probably go out there in 3rd though. With the Ferrari, maybe in 1st gear, but generally speaking, we want to slowly get in here, and also we want to be thrown out a little further, like where that darker tarmac is, and then hit the throttle as early as possible, facing the trees. On the throttle, rear is quite slippery, and then we got that corner too. Like, we do the upshift, take that curb just gently, because it can make us fly quite easily. So we take that, go out here, full throttle, all full throttle, just send it. And then we get to this corner. This corner is quite tricky, but on the other hand, once you mastered it, once you learned it, you will already have mastered it, basically, because we start braking once again at the beginning of the curb. That's very easy at Hungaroring. Like, it's very intuitive. We brake at the beginning of that curb and drive on it, and then the moment that red fence, if in the normal sitting position in that car, is going away, we start to steer. That's as easy how it gets, basically. So we get on that curb, do the steer over there, and yes, all in 3rd gear. So you see, downshift, downshift, harder steer, over that curb, but not hitting the pole, and out as far as possible without invalidating it. A bit more would have been possible here, but it's not necessarily faster in the race, for example, because you may also easily get warnings here. This corner is quite tricky, but on the other hand very easily understandable. We shift to 2nd and then do the upshift to 3rd. Hit the throttle early as possible and go out there once again. Like, using the full amount of track we can get, like we paid for the whole track, so we're gonna use it. Yes, we are. And then slowly, progressively hit the throttle again, building up the throttle with the slippery rear. onto that straight. So, and slowly hitting the throttle out of the corner. Then chicane. I didn't hit it quite well here, but it didn't cost any time, I think. We brake once again at the beginning of that curb. Then go over that one quite drastically, and over that one too. Like, I got a little wiggle here over that because I jumped. But that's fine because I didn't lose the traction. So we do see that tiny patch. We want to hit it with our right wheels that we are on here, I think. Like, we don't want to hit it at the highest point, but also we want to take it at a quite reasonable point without jumping away. So, going into that corner, we brake at the curb, second gear, over, full throttle out. Then we go for that corner, second gear. Like, braking point is quite hard, maybe at where that pole stands, or when those people disappear, like, or tend to disappear. It's very tricky. But I think the pole is quite fine. If you brake 2 meters earlier, it's no problem because we can roll through it. That's all fine. I braked when that pole just goes away, practically speaking, and yeah. Then we also steer with the braking, go over that, not too far because the grass is gonna be there and that's quite bumpy. Then go to the left as far as possible without losing the rear, and then go on that curb at the right. That is easily full throttle. For this one we brake at where the curb begins once again. Brake, throttle, and out as far as possible. You can stay on that red and white without a problem, that's all fine. Just don't hit the blue if you don't want to invalidate your lap. For this corner we brake at 100 meters once again. Like boom, 100, second gear, over, throttle, out. Like, the corners are all very intuitively learnable and all quite equal. That's why we can rush through that section a little bit, because they are all the same corner in its understanding, practically. And here we are. We brake at the shield, at the bridge, at whatever. Like at that little marker, basically. We use that as a braking reference. Go down to second gear. Let us roll through. Hit the throttle as early as possible. Sick drift out of there. Like, insert Tokyo Drift music. Hit the throttle with little double apex, like first apex, then a little bit out, and second apex. And for the last corner we go to the left as far as possible. Let ourselves roll through, hit the throttle, second double apex, full throttle, out as far as possible, and then we are at the target. And that's a lap around Hungaroring. That was a 41.977.